Hello, Shelley from Spin Cushions here. I'm going to show you how to do the last few rounds of the Mayan Crochet blanket motif. I think we're doing 26, 27, 28 and 29, and then our squares will all be finished. Hooray! Alright, so continuing on with the same colour, you should have joined with a double crochet UK, single crochet US. If you were starting a new colour, you would have joined with chain 2 and a slip stitch. You just need to attach your new colour with a starting stitch to any 2 chain corner space. Probably not the one you just finished in though. Alright, this round, it will take a little bit of time, but there's nothing hard about it. So first we're going to chain 3 starting chain or a false stitch. Then we're going to chain 1 and we're going back to our puff stitches from the very beginning. So I don't know how you feel about them. You might like them, you might not. So remember pulling up long loops. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yarn over, pull through all loops on the hook. Chain 1. Now we're going to treble crochet 3 stitches together or double crochet 3 stitches together. Trebles if you're in the UK terms or doubles if you're US terms. So we begin a stitch here, yarn over through 2, stop there, begin the next stitch, stop there, begin the next stitch, and then pull through all 3. And we're just alternating between those. So puff stitch and treble 3 together or double 3 together. And in the corner 2 chain spaces, you'll be doing a stitch, treble, UK, WS, chain 2, treble, exactly what we did last time. So you should end up in this last stitch having a puff stitch. If you find you made a mistake somewhere and you don't have the right number of stitches, you could just do, instead of the last one as a treble 3 together or a double 3 together, do 2 together instead. No one's going to know. Or if you've got an extra stitch, maybe do 4 together at the last one. It'll all work out. No one's going to know that small detail. Okay, so I will do that all the way around and show you what happens next. Okay, so I made it all the way around with my clusters and my puff stitches. So my last puff stitch and my last stitch, need to do a chain 1 and do a treble UK WS in the same place as our first one, which is where that stitch marker is. And again, chain 2 and join with a slip stitch if you're changing colours here following my colour plan. If you're not, then chain 1 and join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US to your first stitch. Alright, now the next round, it starts with something you may not have seen before, but remember we've joined with a double crochet, UK terms, single crochet US terms, and the first instruction is to do a stitch over the joining stitch. Now all that is we're pretending that that joining stitch is the second 2 chain space. So start with a double crochet UK, single crochet US over the joining stitch, which just means pop your stitch, hook it where that stitch marker is, and make your stitch. Then we're going to do 1 in the next stitch, then 1 in the 1 chain space. Now around our puff stitch, we're going to do a front post stitch. These are all double crochets UK, single crochets US. 1 in the 1 chain space, 1 around the cluster. We're just alternating between front post and a stitch in the chain space. So that makes our puffs really puff and our clusters have a nice point. In the corners we do 1 stitch, chain 2, 1 stitch. I'll do that all the way around and I will show you what's next. Oh, don't forget when you get to the other end of the side, very long, you do a stitch in the 1 chain space and then a stitch in this stitch before you do your corner, stitch, chain 2, stitch. Okay, so pretty easy. I'll do that and show you what's next. Okay, so I've almost finished my repeats for this round. I just need to do a stitch in that last stitch and then a stitch in the same place as our first, which is where that stitch marker is. Now, we're all doing the same thing this time. Okay, so chain 1, and because there's such small stitches, it is a good idea to put this stitch marker in if you're not used to how I do things, so you can find the right place to start next time. So joining with a double crochet UK, single crochet US again. Right, and the next round is very, very simple. We're just doing half trebles UK, half doubles US in every stitch along, and in each corner a half stitch, 2 chain, half stitch. To start with, we're going to do chain 2 starting chain, and then it's simply a half stitch in every stitch along the sides. So I will do that all the way around and come back and show you what's next. Okay, so I've done my half trebles or half doubles all the way around. I just need to do one in the same place as our first stitch, which is where that scrap of yarn is. Now if you're following my changing colour plan, this is where you will change, fasten off, do chain 2, join with a slip stitch. If you're not changing colour, chain 1, pop that stitch marker in, and to the top of our second chain from our starting chain, just in that back loop, I'll join with a double crochet UK, single crochet US. Alright, and we have one more round to go. So we're going to start with chain 3 starting chain. Oops. Now, all of the stitches in this round are worked into the loop behind V. They're all trebles UK, doubles US, which you well know by now. But you remember that this first stitch here is a starting chain. So all you need to do is just find any loop on the back there, and it'll have the similar effect to insert your hook into. So there we go. So we're doing a treble UK, double US into the loop behind V of every stitch. This first one after your chain is sometimes a little bit tricky to get into, but once you're in, the rest of them should be nice and easy. So there you go, and in each 2 chain space do a stitch, chain 2 and a stitch, and I'll go all the way around and I'll come and show you how to finish it off. Okay, so I've done all of my repeats. I just need to do a stitch in the same place as our first one, which is where that stitch marker is. And this time we are all going to chain 2 and join with a slip stitch to our first stitch. And there we have it. One super large Mayan crochet blanket square. Give it a quick block if you like, or just join it and then block your blanket. It's up to you. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed making it. I'll be doing one more video showing you how to do the joining of the squares and also the border pattern. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks.